Leftist students at Arizona State University are demanding that, quote, the murderer Kyle Rittenhouse be withdrawn from the university. Students for Socialism, Students for Justice in Palestine, and two other student groups are demanding administrators take action against Rittenhouse, despite the fact that a jury recently found the 18-year-old ASU student not guilty of murdering two rioters last year in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Well, here with more is Kevin McGary. Mr. McGary is chairman of the Frederick Douglass Foundation of California and co-founder and president of Every Black Life Matters. Kevin, it's good to have you with us. Has America entered this new era now where verdicts we don't like are ignored?
When you look at the actual merits of the case, you look at the actual legitimacy of the verdict. It's unbelievable that we actually have students that are trying to call Rittenhouse a murderer. It makes me believe that these students actually did not pay attention to the case, that they actually did not, understand what, the nuances of the case. Basically, it sounds like they actually just took a look at what was said before the case, all of the media narratives, and then the outcome. And then they're driving their own conclusions based on that. But they didn't actually follow the facts of the case. I mean, it was clearly self-defense.
Kevin, in your opinion, why did all this become a racial issue when those two men that were killed by Rittenhouse were actually white, the same color as Rittenhouse? So how did that happen?
Several media entities continue to carry the narrative that Rittenhouse actually shot black men. Even up until last week, there was a couple of media publications that were saying that Rittenhouse shot black men. I mean, it's unbelievable the media malpractice and the media deceptions that were going on with this. And I'm assuming that a lot of these students are just willfully ignorant on this and did not get involved in the nuances of the case and are willfully being ignorant so they can drive their radical narrative on this whole thing.
So how does the teaching of critical race theory then play into all of this? What impact do you think that's having on young blacks and young impressionable white high school and college-age students?
CRT paints this narrative of white privilege, white supremacy, and you're hateful irrespective of that. Now, for us, people of faith, we know that this is completely antithetical to our faith foundations because Jesus came to redeem all. There is no such thing as irredeemable. So people of faith should not fall into the CRT crowd at all. Because Jesus came to redeem all people, and so for people of faith, this is a non-starter. But nevertheless, it is having a profound impact on our society and culture. But the fact is that when you have CRT driving this narrative, any of these potential inflections that are happening within culture and society, and this Rittenhouse case is a perfect example, they will take any potential narrative and drive sort of this racial wedge, this divisiveness, and try to make it seem like there's a supremacy narrative here, even though all of the people involved were white. Everybody was white here in this particular incident. And so believe it or not, at the end of the day, Black Lives Matter is actually trying to protect the namesake of a felonious child predator and, domestic abuser who lost their lives by way of trying to take the life of Rittenhouse. So it was, again, Rittenhouse was acquitted on self-defense grounds, rightly so. But BLM is aligning with these guys and their families, trying to say that Rittenhouse was a supremacist, a militia, and of course an oppressor, and should not be protected. So this is where CRT comes down, right? Anybody white, anybody who is even protecting themselves legitimately is somehow having privilege. And this is, regrettably, this is where society and culture is taking us now. And unfortunately, the church We have a lot of people in our faith communities, especially evangelicals, who have come out on the side of they were castigating Rittenhouse last year, and regrettably, they have not recanted. They have not come out and said, "Look, we said some things earlier on about Rittenhouse, about this trial, and we were a little bit, we came out a little bit fast because we thought we understood the case, but we regret that we said those things." They have not recanted their scurrilous statements about Rittenhouse. We need those famous people, and they know who they are, who are in our faith communities, who said these horrible things about Rittenhouse and being militia and being white supremacist and all of these things because they were kowtowing to culture and being a social justice, evangelical. They need to correct, their statements.
Kevin McGary, co-founder and president of Every Black Life Matters. Thank you, Kevin, for sharing your perspective with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Gary.